All right, Tuesday night, Raj is in the house. The draft is in the rearview mirror. When does Purdy sign? Kittle is signed. The Niners have a new tackle. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go. Off and running Tuesday night on the Krueger Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. We're also brought to you by LearnKey Upskill Academy. Great news for Krueger Show subscribers. Our sponsor, LearnKey, is offering a free cybersecurity course valued at $99. The course is titled Protecting Yourself and Your Organization. It's just 1 hour long and gives you essential tips on keeping you and your company safe online. So it's a limited time offer. Don't miss out. Click the link in the description of this video to claim your free course and start learning today at upskill.learnkey.com. And thanks to LearnKey for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. All right, Tuesday night, draft is in the rearview mirror. What is the latest on Brock Purdy? Is the Purdy deal going to get done? Is it not going to get done? I was on CBS Sports Radio today talking about this same topic. They want to know, when's the Purdy deal going to get done? Is it going to get done? What's the deal going to look like? Is it going to get done in April? Is it going to get done in May? Is it going to get done in June? I'm getting a lot of specific questions about the Purdy contract. And I'm looking for the tweet, but I think Adam Schefter basically put it out there today that, that the Brock Purdy deal, it's not done, but it sounds like it's getting closer to being done. Here is the quote from Schefter. He says, right now, a deal between Brock Purdy and the Niners doesn't seem close. It feels more like a summer deal than a deal right now. However, both sides are confident that a deal can get done by the start of training camp or shortly after the start of it. This is all from ESPN. Raj, I don't know about you, but I would be very surprised. I mean, Brock Purdy already showed up at the OTAs, the non-physical part of the OTAs, the meetings. I think Brock has made a deal with his agent. You work this out. You ask, I'm not going to step on your toes and get in your way, but you make sure that I'm on the field for minicamp. And I really find it very almost impossible to picture the 49ers on the field without Brock Purdy, knowing how competitive he is. He's going to voluntarily allow Mac Jones and Curtis Rourke and these guys. I mean, Rourke's hurt, but Tanner Mordecai and Mac Jones, he's going to allow these guys to run the first, install drills with the entire roster. I just don't see it happening. I know people are saying training camp, but I think it gets done much sooner than that. I think even though they haven't said it, I think they're on the verge of announcing something. My guess is it gets done by the time the Niners hit the field in May. And I think the date is like May 22nd or something. It might be earlier, but I'd have to look it up. When they begin phase 3 of OTAs and they have the whole roster there and they're on the field, that is when I think the deadline is. I think the deal gets done there because there's no way Brock Purdy's not going to be on the field and allow Mac Jones to run the show. I don't buy it. I don't care what people are saying. I think he gets that deal done by the time they hit the field.
I mean, at the end of the day, what Schefter's saying is he doesn't think it's going to get into the summer. Summer's almost here, Larry, in June. So I think it'll probably be more closer to June where it's mandatory training camp. Next couple of weeks, right? We got mini camp for the rookies, and then you got OTAs and stuff. I'm sure Brock will be there because it's a lot of light conditioning stuff for the next couple of weeks. And then it's mandatory training camp. I think that's closer to where it is because you got to realize they just finished Kittle, which was awesome news. John Lynch said, they got Kittle, Warner, Brock Purdy. They just got the rookies taken care of. And it's not just John Lynch, it's Prague. Prague's a busy guy. I don't think people realize he has soccer teams he's running with 49ers Enterprises with leads. So that kind of stuff, bleeds into this other contract things. And I think that's why sometimes it does take a little bit longer. But Brock Purdy said he wants to get this done pretty damn quick. I don't feel like it's going to drag into training camp, which some people may think. I think the date that I think is going to be June, closer to that, when mandatory camp's here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's May, but I do think it's going to be next couple of weeks where Brock's in there. He doesn't want to not be there. He's a leader. He's already established that. He came to the voluntary, OTAs a week ago. So I think he'll be there during the next phase. And then once mandatory camp's up, he'll get it signed up. And then after that, it'll be Fred Warner. So they're moving through this offseason. No drama. I feel like this has been a really good offseason. If you look at it, they got rid of the people they needed to get rid of: Sorensen, Brandon Staley, Brian Schneider. They got in, Robert Salah. He took control of this draft. And then they got Kittle extended. And next, Brock Purdy. I think they're going to take care of it by June.
The Niners, one area they didn't fill in the draft was the swing tackle. And they filled it today with DJ Humphries. It's funny. He's coming off an ACL. He's coming off a down year with Kansas City. But I like this signing. Why? Because to me, trying to find an offensive tackle, a swing tackle as a rookie who's just going to be able, to be able to play left tackle and right tackle, to be able to play tackle at all in the NFL is very challenging. So to me, it's like, what's a better, more likely fit that you're going to find a rookie in the draft that can play right tackle and left tackle to a level that you would trust him, in a big game to throw him out there at either tackle spot, and he's never played in the NFL? Or would you rather have a guy like DJ Humphries, who, he's coming off a torn ACL, he's coming off a little bit of a down year, but he's played in the NFL. He's got those reps. To me, I like the idea of going with the veteran DJ Humphries, who once upon a time was a first-round pick. He's been somewhat of a disappointment as a first-round pick. He went to Kansas City this last year. He's 31 years of age. I think in a lot of ways he's more talented than the swing tackle I was envisioning them, picking up in the draft. I thought maybe Caleb Rogers or Miles Hinton, somebody like that. This guy is a better option than those guys, but he's got to prove that he's healthy and can still do it. What'd you think of the Niners signing DJ Humphries?
Yeah, he's a veteran. He could come in. He understands the game. It's probably a better option than taking a rookie. But the only thing that's worrisome is he is coming off, an injury 2 years back. Last year was like a rehab season for him, kind of a season to kind of get back in order. He didn't play much last year, so he's hungry. He said he's healthy and ready to roll in his tweet, when he announced that he signed with the Niners. So that's a big concern. Can he be healthy? If you think about it, really, Jalen Moore, he signed with the Chiefs. The 49ers, they signed Humphries. They kind of swap teams. But the difference is a lot of money. Jalen Moore got a lot of money to be that starter now with the Chiefs. So, he had a pretty good showing last year in replacement for the Trent Williams. So I do like the veteran presence. You mentioned Caleb was one of the OTs that they were looking into getting. And if you read the reports over the last couple of days, the 49ers, I think Matt Barrows mentioned, they wanted him. They wanted a couple tackles. They said it many times that they were trying to get an offensive lineman. It didn't fall in place because some of the guys they liked, they already got picked. They couldn't make a trade here and there. So I feel like they were trying to get an offensive lineman earlier. They said they were, and it didn't work out. So you go with the veteran because you don't want to reach in the 7th round for a guy that may not even be able to come in and compete. But a guy to keep an eye on to me is Spencer Burford. I know I don't know if they're going to place him at guard or tackle because many people are saying he could compete for that left guard spot, but I think he still could compete for the swing tackle spot. So you get Humphries in there, let him compete with Burford. End of the day, you needed some tackle depth. Everybody was upset you didn't take a tackle in the draft. So now you go and you give us a veteran tackle. When he was healthy, Humphries, he was a Pro Bowler. He was actually a solid guy. He wasn't, like you said, lived up to his draft potential, but I think he could be at least a swing tackle. You can't be worse than what we've had in the past, a couple of these players. So I don't hate the move.
The question is this: is he an upgrade or is he a downgrade from Jalen Moore? I would say talent-wise, he's an upgrade. Okay. Jalen Moore, of course, was in the system for a long time and was healthy. But I know Jalen Moore got paid a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But I would say Humphries might be a slightly better player than Jalen Moore. I think he's definitely a significantly better talent. Nothing against Jalen Moore. But he's had injuries, as you said. He's a little older. We're going to have to see what version of DJ Humphries the Niners get this summer. But at his best, I think DJ Humphries is a slight upgrade on Jalen Moore. Now, George Kittle signed a contract today as well. 4 years, $76.4 million contract with the Niners, $40 million guaranteed, 35 at signing, 5 in the future. He's the highest paid tight end in the NFL. There was talk last week or the week before that this deal was not going to get done, that they weren't close. Kittle kind of pushed back on the Diana Rossini. He wanted to be the highest paid, but at the end, she ultimately had the right report. He is the highest paid tight end in football. 4 years, 76.4, 19.1 million AAV. As I said, 40 million in total guaranteed. 35 million at signing, which, hey, that wouldn't be bad. You show up and, oh yeah, here, George, here's a check for signing today, $35 million. Wow. 5 million more bonus in 2027. So what'd you think, Raj? It looks like Kittle, who has openly stated his goal is to wear one NFL uniform his entire life. It's a hard thing to do. Montana didn't do it. Reggie White didn't do it. Ronnie Lott didn't do it. Roger Craig didn't do it. But it looks like Kittle has a chance to do it. What do you think?
He's going to do it. Niner for life. He manifested it. He said it. I want to be a Niner for life. 4-year contract. You got to be happy for Kittle. I mean, he's probably one of the best all-time Niners. Everybody can make their list, and top 10, you probably are going to have Kittle, or top 15. Wherever you slate him, he's one of the best Niners. He's on his way to be a Hall of Famer. You just got to keep it up a little bit. I mean, he's had some unbelievable years. You guys seen the stats out there that were posted throughout his career. Unbelievable. He's worth every single penny. He's not just a catcher. He's a run block. He blocks like crazy. He's the most, versatile, most complete tight end. We all know. I don't have to tell you guys that. I think he was worth the money. I wasn't worried about this deal. Now, I want to say this. Diana Rossini was not correct, Larry. I got to clear that from the record because she fought.
She was not?
She doubled down. This was the report. Yes, he wanted to get paid and be the highest tight end. Like, obviously, if he's going to get a contract extension, naturally you think he's going to get paid more than McBride. That wasn't the case. She said that he wasn't going to the OTAs because of contract-related matters. It was contract-related matter. He was at WrestleMania, Larry. That's why he didn't show up. He was preoccupied, but he's been training.
When it wasn't mandatory, and he hasn't shown up in the past.
Exactly. So I feel like, and he told her, your source is wrong. Like, yeah, okay, the money part, whatever, that's trivial, whatever. But to me, the big pushback was the fact that she said, oh no, the sides are
the cause and effect. Yeah, she reported it as cause and effect, and in reality, these things maybe had absolutely nothing to do with each other, because it sounds like probably by the point that she was reporting that, the agent for Kittle and the Niners on their side were probably already home on the numbers. So I'm sure her report of like discontent, that's really what he was pushing back on.
That's what he was pushing, because she was saying, because I remember there was even a tweet that said they're so far apart in negotiations. And I posted it. And then that's when Kittle, he came on my Instagram. He's like, her sources are wrong. I was like, oh shit, this is bad. This is completely wrong. So yeah, the numbers, whatever, they probably had been figuring that out, but it wasn't. I think the biggest issue we got to get right is she was wrong about that. He wasn't there because of the contract. He had no problems. He was in the building the other day and he welcomed Michael Williams. But overall, I'm so happy for George Kittle. He's like a true Niner. If you ask every fan, he's probably their favorite or top 3 of their favorite right now. Currently, most people have his jersey. He's a hell of a player in the locker room. You don't get rid of a guy like George Kittle because he's so good for the locker room. So I'm happy for George, man. I'm happy he got that money.
Wait a second. George is standing by for a comment. George, you got a brand new contract with the Niners. Can you give us your reaction?
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
That is awesome. George is a good dude, by the way, too. I mean, I'll say that. I mean, he's a good man. I mean, he's a good dude. I mean, it's like he's great with the fans. He's great when nobody's looking. Seriously. I mean, one time, I had Kev out at a training camp, back when he was in high school, and we were coming back from vacation. I had to pick up him and his buddy. They were Northgate football players. They had a Northgate football thing. So I asked Bob Lang, I said, Bob, I got to bring him because I'm picking this kid up in the South Bay. I can't make him sit in the car. Is it okay if they stand on the sidelines while I'm cover camp today? He's like, well, it's against the rules, but I'll bend the rules today for you. Okay. So he's like, but, make sure they stay out of the way. So I told him, I said, hey, guys, you got to stay way over the way. So they're standing way out of the way, and the players come out. And all the players walk by him, and the players are friendly, and they're smiling, wave to the kids, and they can see they've got the football shirt on, so they know, hey, these are high school football players. And Raj, you've been to camp a million times. You know the way the players love the fans and treat the fans. They treat the fans so well. So George has no idea that that's my kid or anything, and he walks by them, and instead of just being like all the rest of the players who just like smile and kind of head bob, he's like, hey, what's going on, fellas? And he comes over and he offers to shake both their hands. He's like, hey, what's going on? How's your guys' season going? You guys in camp yet? When's your first game? All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming out. It's great to see you. That kind of stuff. Walks off. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, you know what, dude, you know how easy that is to do? You know how much you make somebody's day? Yeah. You're a high school football player and you have George Kittle asking you, when's your first game? And good luck this season, fellas. I mean, very cool. He's just a very cool, down-to-earth guy. And I asked him about it, weeks later after that. I'm like, hey, man, why are you so cool to these kids? Nobody, there's no, you're not getting paid for that. And there's nobody's watching that. And he's like, man, that was me. He's like, I look at these kids who are in high school playing football, and I'm like, dude, that was me. That was me like so short ago, such a short time ago. It's like, I was the guy going to training camp, wanting to get a handshake with Dallas Clark or whoever he said, and it's like, I know what it means. And so, I mean, that kind of awareness, he's special, man. He's a special guy. We know he's a special player, and he's a vibe guy for the Niners. Like, his swagger is their swagger. His confidence is their confidence. But even beyond that, he's just a good dude. Just a very good dude. So I'm happy for the Niners. I'm happy for the Niner fans. I'm happy for George. And the interesting thing, I thought this was a very positive draft weekend for our guy Mason Pline, because you got George, you got Luke Farrell. It was a great tight end draft. The Niners drafted none, and they signed none. So they have Tongas, Braden Willis, and Mason Pline probably battling for that third spot. And, I think Pline is going to be really good this summer. I can't wait to see him. I think he's worked on his game quite a bit. He's learned a ton. They gave him a redshirt year. I think he took full advantage. I'm looking forward to Pline possibly beating out Willis and Tongas for that third job.
That shouldn't be that hard, Larry. They weren't too good. And Pline, maybe they like what they saw. I was actually very surprised they didn't take a tight end in this. I was waiting. I was like, okay, tight end. They didn't take a tight end, so I was surprised. But it tells you what they think about the tight ends in the on the roster already. Probably George Kittle also probably thinks highly of these guys. So yeah, it's gonna be a competition. I 100% did not see that coming. I was all ready for them to take a tight end within the 4th or 5th round, and they didn't. But overall, I think the big theme was, which you probably talked about, they were trying to retool that defense. And I was shocked. But I will say one more thing about George Kittle.
Yeah.
Again, 4-year extension. I love the contract. Albert Breer, he pointed out that there's a couple options for him to exit out on the last couple of years of the deal. So, 2025, 2026, he's going to be with the Niners. And then after that, they got some options. So if he's not going to play anymore, it was a very friendly contract in terms of how they set it up. And that's what the 49ers do. So definitely a 4-year extension, but there are some outs. So who knows what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, George Kittle, he's going to retire his career with the Niners. And I think all fans are just happy for the guy. Because like you said, this man just is a unbelievable, perfect person. He's great on the field. He's great off the field. He's exemplified it many times. And I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Well, I mean, if you're a Niner fan, you're rooting for these guys. You don't know exactly who you're rooting for. And I'll just say this. In Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Mason Pline, 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 Colton McKivitz, Sam Aquinu, Nick Bosa, Demo Lenore. I mean, you're talking about some really good people. Yeah. So, and I think the Niners, even though they don't say it, there's guys that they just probably wouldn't take on. They're not. There are certain personality types and certain characters they wouldn't take on. I think other teams maybe have a looser, standard about what they'll take and what they won't accept. I think the 49ers have a pretty high standard for their players. I want your thoughts on the draft, but first let's hear what McShay had to say. A little breakdown on the Niner draft. Coach Yak's Twitter. Thank you, Coach Yak, for letting us use this. Here it is, little Todd McShay.
San Francisco. Boy, they had a lot of picks. You can count them while I talk for a second.
Okay.
Michael Williams, absolutely love that pick. I think when you look at Michael and the traits that you're betting on, for starters, he's a great run defender. Like right now, he walks into the league, he's going to be great, setting the edge, long, strong, hard to move, locates the ball, keeps blockers up. He's a really good run defender, and he's got the traits when he's not dealing with an ankle injury, and then when he gets there in San Francisco, and he's like, I can't think of two or three other better than Nick Bosa, and Nick Bosa's commitment to the pass rush and like commitment to the game and every little
nutrition,
all of it. He's a lunatic, and I love lunatics, right?
Yeah.
So I can't think of a much better spot for him to be in. So that was a home run pick. Alfred Collins is a good player.
A
little early for me, but you bring him in and right away, like he's going to be stout versus the run. He's going to help. That defensive line was threatened for the first time in a long time that it wasn't going to be the baddest bunch of dudes on the block.
Yeah.
And this is going to help get him right back there soon. Nick Martin.
Early. Love the player, by the way. I think I was higher on him than most people in early.
Yeah. Early. Really early. Collins was a little bit early, but I understand that pick. Nick Martin, I don't get that pick. But watch him go out and have 120 tackles, Upton Stout is one of my favorites. Slot cornerback. He's glue. He's glue. I don't care what PFF says. Like, there's no corner that gives up less separation one-on-one. But yeah, he's a slot, but he's a damn good player.
But they already have a slot, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I had him right there at 101.
Great value. Great value. I agree with you. But again, it's a position that I didn't really see as a need.
Two other names I want to throw out to you. Jordan James.
Love that pick.
He's pass protection's a sore, but his run skills are not that far off of RJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay. So like in a rotation with McCaffrey,
they're going to get the most of them too. I love that he ended up there.
And at some point, like maybe McCaffrey misses a game or two, however it works, this guy will step in.
Right.
And he's not, no one's McCaffrey, but they're not going to have this like, oh my gosh, we're done.
No, he's going to get 80, 85 yards.
And then Curtis Rourke, you little son of a gun. Could you have wound up in a better spot as a 20?
Did you hear about his knee, by the way?
No.
He played the entire season on a torn ACL.
Yeah, of course he did. And I like it as a passer. He can't move that well, and when the blitz comes and all that stuff. But he also didn't have much protection in front of him, and he was going up against defenses that had a lot of dudes. And he is really accurate and layers the ball. And I'm not saying he's the next Brock Purdy, but like, just like I said with the Rams, with Mumfield, the 7th round pick, like I wouldn't be shocked if Rourke won a couple games in the NFL because he's there.
Don't sleep on this wide receiver, by the way. Junior Bergen from Montana played wide receiver, played running back as a freshman, switched over to wide receiver. He ties the FCS record for punt returns for touchdowns. Eight punt returns for touchdowns in college. He's a running back after the catch. He's a weapon. They're going to get him involved in the running game. They're going to use him in the return game. Remember the name Junior Bergen. It's going to be a guy you're like, how'd that guy go in that late? It's because he played for a smaller school, and he doesn't have blazing speed, but this is a guy that I think that Shanahan's going to look at and be like, I got a couple ideas for you.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like when you dig deep like that.
Raj, what did you think? There's a little bit of McShay's breakdown on the Todd McShay show. What did you think? Did you like the draft? Did you not like the draft? It was Thursday for Mikael Williams, then rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and then of course the Niners picking all day Saturday. And this is the first time we've talked since the draft. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a great draft. I mean, it's hard to grade it right now because we haven't seen them play, obviously. But I think the Niners did a good job. That defense last year was abysmal. The run defense was so poor, and I think that was the theme, right? Robert Saleh came in, took the keys to the Jeep, and he said, let me show you how I got to fix this defense. It's literally what he did. If you remember last year, I sat here, asked you a question. You asked it to Nick Sorensen. How do we fix the run defense? He couldn't give you an answer. Robert Saleh, he showed us how to fix the run defense. You get an edge setter. That's a premium edge setter in Mikael Williams. I think he could be good. He has the ability to rush the passer as well. If he can develop, he's 20 years old. Good player from Georgia. They produce some of the best players in the NFL. So I thought it was a good pick. The Nick Martin pick, this guy, I know the injuries got him, but if he was healthy, he'd probably be a second-round pick. Honestly, this guy could fly. He's going to be the next Dre Greenlaw if he can stay healthy. Upton, the energy was crazy. His draft call was fun. It was energetic. He's the next K1 / Jimmy Ward type guy. He plays the run so well. That is the theme. Nobody's running on the Niners next year. Alfred Collins, big space eater. I love the pick. CJ West, that's your next DJ Jones. Robert Saleh said, hold up. 2019, we went to the Super Bowl. These were the guys we're missing. Let me go bring their next variation of them. I loved it. The Rourke pick, yeah, initially shock value was through the roof. We were like, what are you doing? You look back at it, they'll stash him. He'll be on the NFI list. They'll let him redshirt and rehab. The man played a whole season through a torn ACL. That's pretty damn gritty. And the Niners definitely can always use depth at quarterback, and they'll stash him. Maybe next year will be QB3. You never know quarterbacks in the Niners. I love the running back pick. You need a depth. Replaces Jordan Mason. Wide receivers, who knows what's going to happen. But Bergeron, I think, could be a punt returner. They said it, right? FCS, 8 punt returns. Jury's still out. I like the guard they added. That's good depth to compete with Ben Barch on the left side. So overall, they filled most of their needs. They got a safety. We found out Mustafa, messed up his knee in the last game of the season. So it makes a little sense that they went and got a big-time safety with Marquise Seigel. So overall, I think they did a great job. My favorite pick, probably CJ West. I think he's going to be a dog in the trenches. And overall, I was happy. I couldn't complain about it.
Did you repurpose the CJ West line where CJ West said, I just want to punch the guy in the face or whatever?
Yeah,
I can punch centers in the face.
I purposed that video and the quote in his bio where he says, I hate QB. This man is a certified QB hater. I love him, Larry. I love the mentality. This dog, he's a dog. I want to know your opinion because I know last week when we talked, you did not like Mikael Williams. What's your thought? Do you hate him? Do you like him? Do you like the pick? What's your take on Mikael Williams? Do you hate him?
I personally, he makes me nervous. Why? Because Georgia, because of Robert Beal. Because I'm watching Robert Beal. Robert Beal, we can talk about their different. Robert Beal was a 6th-round pick. This guy was rated much higher. I get that. But Robert Beal also was a high recruit. And he's 6'4", and he's 260. And he went to Georgia, and Kirby told Lynch that he could set the edge. He's an edge-setting monster. And here we are. It's a couple years in, and Robert Beal has done very, very little. Very little. And Georgia has so many athletes, and some of these guys just are a product of the rest of the athletes out there. So I fear that, this guy ran 4.77. Robert Beal ran 4.48.
Yeah.
Robert Beal's 6'4", 260 with 4.48 speed, and he does nothing, absolutely nothing. So I know this guy's a solid floor as far as Mikael Williams is going to come in. The worst thing he's going to be is a really strong run defender who locks down, the defensive end spot opposite Bosa as a really strong run defender. But for the 11th pick in the draft, man, I need way more than that. I need way more than that. And when the guys that went after him, it was like Tyler Booker, Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, Jalen Walker. was like a bunch of guys, and they're all pretty much dogs. They're all really good players. And I just think that probably 5 years from now, when we look back at this draft, probably one or two of those guys is going to outperform this guy. But, you know, at the same time, I don't think it's like Shamar Stewart, even though I think he had more intriguing talent, I think he's more of a bust risk than Mikael Williams. I think he's probably, you know, let's just say Shamar Stewart, whatever. Maybe if Mikael Williams has a 5% chance of busting, I think Shamar Stewart has more like a 15% chance of busting. Yeah. And so from that perspective, I like Mikael Williams. I mean, I'll say this. It's all based on the 11th pick in the draft. Like, if this were the second round, oh, God, I'd be like all over it. Are you kidding me? Mikael Williams in the second round, just at 11? Or if they had traded down to 18, 19, I think I would have liked it more. The fact that they almost traded up for this guy, and he had 21 tackles. He didn't play very much. He never had more than 5 sacks. I mean, Robert Beal had a 6.5 sack season. This guy never had more than 5. So, I mean, that's a concern. I got to be honest. I'm very concerned about Mikael Williams' ability to impact the game as a pass rusher. And if you're a defensive end, you have to impact the game as a pass rusher. It's not okay to just play the run. So I think they'll be able to coach him up. I think Kasarik and Sala will be able to get something more out of him. But it's a little bit of a projection, man. In the first round, especially at the 11th pick overall, I want a guy who has awesome measurables and awesome tape. This guy's got awesome measurables and spotty tape. He had 21 tackles on the season. Now, people are talking about, well, he's got an ankle injury. All right. I mean, come on.
He did, but he was a killer at Georgia as a freshman. Like I think it's a different body type.
That makes me worried, though. Why did he not get better? You're right. His best ball was as a freshman. He graded out highest as a freshman. He really did. The other thing he's 9th percentile as far as pass rush win rate as among defensive ends that were in this draft. He had a 9% pass rush win rate. That's really low.
But at the same time,
he's a great run defender. Like, I can bust out all kinds of stats that show that this guy's going to step in day one, set the edge, be a killer run defender. But I need him to be a sack master opposite Bosa as well for the 11th pick. And I'm not sure he's that. So we'll see. I mean, I hope. I've been wrong before. I didn't think Warner was going to be much. And look at Warner. Warner's great. So
I get it.
I don't know. I'm not always right.
I get it. You wanted the guy that's going to come in and give you 15 sacks right off the bat. I get it. I think everybody wanted that. But this is going to help Nick Bosa. I think this is going to be able to help open up, create opportunities for him. He's the $34 million man. He's the one that at the end of the day needs to get the big sack number. So if you come in and get 8 sacks as a rookie, I'll be happy. I'll take it. And again, he's a versatile guy. I think the biggest issue, again, was how can you stop the run? Larry, last year, they were getting gashed left and right. You get a guy that can set the edge, and then you got Collins and you got CJ West. Those 3 guys are going to plug so much gaps and holes in the line. Nick Bosa is going to be free. They're not going to be able to double him. So I think at the end of the day, all these guys were there to draft to help up Bosa. And yeah, you could have probably taken Walker, who is a little bit more explosive, probably would have been the better pass rusher, but the size is different. Is he big enough to,
he's not a first and second down defensive end.
That's the thing. So then you're picking up a guy that's third down specialist. They want a guy that's going to be able to play a lot more and get dirty and kind of like a Charles Omenihu type guy. That guy was underrated. He came in, he could set the edge. He got occasional sacks. Art Armstead, when he played on the edge, he wasn't a sack guy, but he was able to get to stop that run. But there was a year, 2019, they had Buckner, they had DJ Jones, they had Bosa, they had Armstead. That man got 10 sacks. He was not a pass rush specialist. Slower, like Mikael Williams. Now you got CJ West. Now you got Alfred Collins. Now you got Bosa. Mikael Williams might be able to rack up 10 sacks because they're going to have so much pressure and so much talent on the line. That's the way I see it. I know you're not a Mikael Williams guy. You told me before.
Well, I like him. I just don't love him. And as far as the other thing with the Niners, they keep making these picks that are replacements for their failed previous picks. So I mean, this is another example where if Drake Jackson, who was your second round pick in 22, was good, you wouldn't be making this pick right now. But you drafted Drake in the second round and he hasn't been good. So here you are in 25. I mean, it's like you had to take Kinlaw because Solomon Thomas wasn't good. You had to take Mikael Williams because Drake Jackson wasn't good. I mean, do you see what's happening here? That a lot of times they're doubling up. They're doubling up because they're not picking the right guys.
We hope that they're not drafting another guy because Mikael Williams was a guy. I 100% see where you're coming from. And I have the same fears about every pick. Every pick could be a bust. But I think with what they're trying to do and Gus Edwards and Slaw and, I think the biggest key is, look, that run defense was piss poor. We asked Nick Sorensen. You asked Nick Sorensen, how do you fix the run defense? He couldn't give you an answer, Larry. He couldn't even give you a straight answer. So at least Robert Salah is being proactive, and he may not get a lot of sacks, but I think he fits his system. And again, some of these guys don't always, get the numbers in college. Rashawn Gary, perfect example. That man he wasn't getting big sack numbers in college.
No, he's a good example, but he's fast.
He is fast. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, you gotta stop the run. It was, to me, the one thing I liked about the draft was that the Niners took my plan, which I stated, I think to Chapman or somebody. We came up with a mock draft one day. I'm like, what is your defensive rebuild plan? My defensive rebuild plan was to go big on the defensive line and then go small with fast second level linebackers who can really run. See if you can find some physical corners to kind of set the edge that way. And if you can find that thumper at safety to go with Malik Mustafa, that's what I'm looking for. And I felt like they did that up front, right? They went Mikael Williams, they went CJ West, they went Alfred Collins. They've got a big defensive line now. And then they went Nick Martin, who's an undersized linebacker who I think is phenomenal. And I thought that was a great get. The Collins pick, I got to be honest, when I was going through the defensive tackles in the lead up to the draft, I obviously noticed him, but I don't know. It was weird. It was like I didn't gravitate towards him simply because he just seemed like a guy who's, huge and has this amazing skill set, but it's like, I don't know. He seemed like a guy who was kind of high cut, like maybe he'd have leg injuries. He did show up to the Austin UT Pro Day in a walking boot, and there was some talk before the draft that he had some kind of knee issue. But he's played in like 46 of 48 career games. He's proven to be durable. He's only given up, or Longhorns only give up 2.9 a carry when he was in there.
He's monster.
If this guy, I mean, to me, this was the biggest of big swings. I know Mikael Williams was the first round pick, but drafting Alfred Collins, I think it's either going to be genius and he's going to be King Kong and shoulder pads, or we're going to be like, that guy never got on the field. He looks great, but he can't play. Because, I mean, he is so big, so strong, but I mean, like, if you looked at him, like a buddy of mine who went down to Austin and scouts and was on campus said, Krug, when you're watching this guy just like walk around, you'd swear he's 275, 280, because he's very proportional. Like he doesn't look, he's a tall guy with long arms and long legs, but he looks very proportional. You would never, ever guess that this guy is 330 pounds. He's like, he looks like 285, 290. And then you're standing right next to him and you realize, oh no, this guy is 330 pounds.
Big dude. He's
almost 340. So I think to me, he's the most exciting guy, because if that guy can stay healthy, you've got CJ West, who has got vice grip hands, super strong. And then you've got this guy who's got like range and, long legs. And the other thing about Alfred Collins that I love is that he's a lot of the big guys, for whatever reason, don't get good batted down pass numbers. This guy bats down passes left and right. This guy is a Windex washer. I mean, he's just constantly hands up, batting stuff down. That to me, the idea of Collins and West dominating as the Niners' top tier defensive tackle combo is pretty exciting.
Yeah, he could be fantastic. I said when we drafted him, the only concern I have, because he's 6'6", that's a monster of a man. It's a Goliath. And we worried about Kinlaw with all the pressure he put on his knees, because he was a massive guy too. I said the same thing. Alfred Collins, it's a lot of pressure on the knees, but he has so much talent. And again, he's such a stopgap, and he can really beef up this run game. Again, I think the name of the game was, hey, you're going to try to run on the Niners, you're not going to do it. And what do you think? The big time teams in the NFC, they got to run the ball. Also, the 49ers have had a trying issue in trying to stop these running quarterbacks. Maybe with these guys they added, maybe they can stop the running quarterback, because they're going to have to play JD5, Jalen Hurts. He runs the, tush push. There's a couple other quarterbacks, maybe Josh Allen down the line, Patrick Mahomes. Those guys are mobile. They can beat you with their legs and the arms. They had to get some guys that can, hey, stop the run and maybe help stop that quarterback rush, because that has been their Achilles. And if they play JD5 in the playoffs, let's just say, they're going to need these guys to be able to get after them and get Jaden Daniels down, because that is, to me, one of the biggest issues is, can you stop that mobile quarterback? That's been their Achilles for years. So we'll see. I like the picks, but again, every pick there's a risk. Every pick has a chance to bust. Every pick can be, hey, if they hit, they look like geniuses. If they don't, these guys don't know how to draft. So I'm excited to see them play at the end of the day.
Upton Stout, Coach Yak's got Upton Stout working out here, getting ready for minicamp May 8th and 9th. Here we go. We'll turn the music down.
I post that.
But yeah, I like this. This is these summer workout videos. There you go. Do the band working on your explosiveness. This guy just looks totally ridiculous athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny too. People talk, Mel Kiper's obviously the Mr. NFL draft, and he wrote an article a week before the draft saying, here are my favorite guys at every position. And when it came time for slot corner, he went with this guy. And when it came time for stack linebacker, he went with Nick Martin. So I mean, the fact that he went with CJ West as his interior defensive tackle. So, I mean, to me, I love that, because Mel, if Mel's telling you his favorite picks, those are the guys that he really loves. And to me, though, this Upton Stout sounds so intriguing. What did you think of that pick, Raj? I mean, it went Mikael Williams, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin on day 1 and 2. The last pick on day 2 was Upton Stout. A lot of people thought maybe the Niners wanted to go with Charles Grant or Caleb Rogers, the offensive lineman, but the Raiders at 34 or 35 picked those guys right in front of the Niners, leaving them with Upton Stout. What did you think of Stout?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was definitely, earlier for where he was projected, but as we mentioned, they got sniped on some of those offensive tackles. They mentioned it that there was, a time where they were going to draft a tackle or offensive lineman. Matt Barrows reported, they got sniped, unfortunately. So, okay, your guys are off the board. You got to pivot. You got to pivot quickly, and you look at your board. This was a guy they probably would have drafted, right? They've met with several cornerbacks during, the pre-draft process, and he was a guy that was on their radar. And honestly, the moment they drafted him, I was like, oh, it's K'Wan Williams or it's Jimmy Ward. It's like that's who they're trying to bring and replace. They haven't had that really solid nickel back for a while, since they lost those guys. And they've been trying to figure out that nickel spot. You got Diamond Lenore. He's your outside boundary cornerback. He is locked in. He looks like he's going to be that Pro Bowl guy. Take that next leap, which he, took a leap last year, and take a bigger leap. Renardo Green looked fantastic last year in his rookie season. You move him on the outside, you got Lenore, Green. They've been looking for that slot, and I just didn't trust Trey Brown when they brought him in. He's had injuries. He's a veteran. He's not a great player. He's a decent veteran. He'll be depth. If they get an injury, you can insert him into the lineup. But I like the upside of Upton, and what I was saying earlier is he's not just good as a slot. He's so good at that at run defense. I think he graded like a 90.9 against the run last year as his first year in the slot with Western Kentucky. Good player, And that's exactly what Robert Salah does. Look at his history. He's had DJ Reed, right? A nasty slot corner. And he is like similar type of guy. Jimmy Ward, K'Wan Williams. The moment I saw him, I was like, that's K'Wan Williams. And then after the draft, the presser, they said, yeah, this is the K'Wan Williams kind of guy they copped him to. I was like, there you go. So I like the pick. I think he has so much upside. And his energy on that draft call, fantastic. Hey, coach, let's go, coach. Let's go, coach.
Oh, my God. He was incredible. It's funny. Dieter and I are in a debate over Nick Martin. He, for whatever reason, doesn't believe in Nick Martin. My whole thing is, look, I'm not saying that I've watched the million hours of film on the guy, but the guy is like 95th percentile in speed, 95th percentile as far as strength, and is a 95th percentile type guy as far as production. And here is some of this guy. I just think that Nick Martin, when I saw this guy, I thought, oh my God. And I've got buddies who are big Oak State fans who have called me in the last day and said, Krug, I don't care what people are saying about this guy. This guy was the best player on the field the last couple of years for the Cowpokes. He said, Nick Martin, if he's healthy, is going to be a great Niner. And that's the way I see it as well. I know there are people like, oh, he gets engulfed sometimes on the second level because of the size. When you've got 26 reps at 225, you've got 4.3 speed, you've got, or 4.4 speed. I mean, this guy can run. He's strong. He's instinctive. He had 140 tackles in 23. I think he's going to be huge. I think this might be one of their best picks.
He might be everybody's favorite pick. He's got that speed, that sideline to side. He just looks like he's going to be a dog. And let me tell you something. He wore a 4 in college. You know who else also wore a 4 in college? It was a linebacker, a man named Fred Warner. I'm not saying he's going to be Fred Warner, but he just gives me like I got good vibes from this guy when I saw this pick, and I liked it. He had slipped because of an MCL injury. I don't think he would have slipped had he been 100% healthy. Like, this guy could be their steal of the draft. Him or CJ West, to me, look like that type of pick. Now, obviously not all these guys are going to hit, but I think Nick Martin's the type of guy that can, because they are starving for linebackers. The 49ers, when it comes to linebackers, typically they do pretty good, right? We've had, they lost Jerry Greenlaw. You're looking to replace him. You lost Azeez Al-Shaair a couple years back. So now you got D Winters. Injuries have been his issue. This guy has all the makings of a guy that can just come into training camp and steal the show. I think if he can be healthy, his talent alone is going to carry him to be that second linebacker with Fred Warner. And he just looks so explosive on the film. Like, he pops off. Now, again, injury is a risk with every player, but I really do think that him and Fred Warner are going to be that next. And when you have a guy like Warner, he's going to make sure you succeed. He's going to take him under his wing. I already know training camp's going to come and he's going to talk him up. Oh, this Nick Wright, I already can see the content coming a mile away. It's going to be Nick and Fred, and it's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Niners had 7 picks on day 3. CJ West, Jordan Watkins, Jordan James, Marquise Siegel, Curtis Rourke, Connor Colby, and Junior Bergen. What do you think? I mean, we've already talked about CJ West. I think West is just a monster. I think, to me, West is one of the most automatic players in this draft. Yeah. I think there's no chance at all that CJ West is not just totally dominating. His hand strength is off the charts. And to me, when you watch that hand strength play out, he's just an absolute monster as a run defender. I'm a huge CJ West fan. I think CJ West is really, really going to be a great player. But outside of CJ West, was there somebody? Wait, we'll share the screen on this little CJ West moment, because this is such a great little quote here from CJ. CJ has got a great personality too. Here he is, little CJ West. Let's see. Let's turn this up. There we go.
Yeah, I'm violent. I'm the person who's going to punch a guy in the mouth that's, lined up across me. It's going to be a long day for him. And I just love to see, my violence kind of inflict on him, and he's just drained every single snap that he has to line up against me. So that's the type of guy I am. I'm a violent player, and I got to give a lot of effort because I love this game.
I'm violent. I'm the kind of guy who's going to punch a guy in the face across from me. I mean, it's a violent game, Raj. It's a violent game. So, but I did love hearing that from CJ West. I loved hearing that he's a violent player.
Yeah, I loved his interview, his get to know CJ West interview. That was my favorite one out of all of them. I was like, oh my God, this guy has won me over already. Like, you could just tell he's going to be a good personality in the locker room. I think the Niners are going to really love this guy. And again, he's got the speed. Have you seen his spin move off the line? Oh
yes.
My God. It's like zoom, zoom, and he gets to the quarterback and like I was like, okay, the Niners really drafted a dog. To me, again, this is probably the guy I think that's going to be. This is my favorite pick. I like the Nick pick, but out of all the picks, this was my favorite pick of the draft because, I mean, and then his bio, like, right? He says, I hate quarterbacks. Just everything about him screams, I am a killer. I'm on your team. You're lucky you drafted me. You're not playing against me. That's the type of vibe I get. Everybody else, as you said, what are my thoughts on everybody else? Already told you about Rourke. Initially, the shock value was insane. I was like, oh, and everybody, the comments were like, what do we need a quarterback? But again, they'll stash him. You can never have a quarterback, and he's a 7th rounder. The Niners have done pretty good on 7th round quarterback. Not going to say he's Brock Purdy, but with his abilities, he can probably operate the system. Now, the draft profile, people say, he's like, looks like he's stuck in the mud. He can't escape. He played through a torn ACL. There's probably a reason why he wasn't too mobile last year. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. I think that was actually better now that I think about it, had a few days to think about it than it was initially. Because I'm not going to lie to you, Larry. Initially, I was like, what are they doing? But then you realize it's the 7th round. Were they really going to get any offensive linemen of value? They got one, Connor Colby. I think he could give Ben Barch a run for his money. But again, do you trust a rookie to come in right away? Dominic Pooney was a special type of rookie. I don't know if Connor is going to be that level, but at least you got some depth. And the big thing with Ben Barch is injury history. So if he does take an injury and leave, you got a guy that probably can step in eventually down the line after he gets a little seasoning. So the 2 wide receivers, like I said, I wasn't like overly impressed, but one of them is probably going to be a return man. The last one, Junior Bergeron. The running back, again, I thought it was solid. He's a bruiser. He's not like a finesse type running back. He's going to hit you in the mouth. And the Niners need a short down back. They've always needed that. Last year, struggled in the red zone. They struggled on short yardage. And I think now with Jordan James, they got a guy that could come in and pound out 2-3 yards, which they struggled with last year. So they lost Jordan Mason. You replace him with Jordan James. You lose Jordan, you get Jordan. I think it was good. So overall,
they were down on Jordan. They needed to pick up a Jordan. A scout said all he does is break tackles and plays bigger than his size. No nonsense runner. On 260 touches, Jordan James did not fumble one time in 2025.
Yeah, that's huge. That's
for massive. The season. That's good. That's good. I'll tell you the other guy that really was intriguing is Corey Kiner. The Niners got 2 backs here. They got Jordan James, but they also got Corey Kiner from Cincinnati. And Corey Kiner is a lot of the same things that Jordan James is. I mean, he's 5'9", 210, built low to the ground, a hard runner, great contact balance, runs through contact, runs through arm tackles. I'm telling you, man, they got 2 of these guys in James and Kiner. And history says that Kiner is going to outperform James. We'll see if that ultimately winds up being the case. But I think they got 2 pretty good backs there.
Yeah, the 49ers do great with undrafted running backs. Breida, right? They've had a history. Jermichael Hasty. They had Jeff Wilson. They had who else was undrafted? Jordan Mason. All those guys were undrafted. So Kiner probably could be the next, undrafted running back that steals the show somewhere. And the Niners always need depth at running back. How many times do we sit here and go, oh God, here we go again? They're going to need depth at running back. You get 2 of them, Shanahan and company. They know how to kind of develop those running backs. So overall, I knew they were going to get a running back that they feel comfortable with. Doesn't matter if you like him or I like him. Shanahan likes the running back. Most of the time, he's going to hit as long as it's not a 3rd round running back. And they avoided the 3rd round running back this year. So the wide receivers, again, I don't know. I wasn't too big of a fan of Jordan Watkins, but hopefully he can prove my mind differently. People say I sound like him. The one good thing about him is he understands you need a block. And that was the big takeaway I got from his interview. But, I mean, I'm not, like, over the moon with him. You know me, I wanted Savion Williams, but you can't have your cake and eat it too sometimes.
Yeah, I mean Watkins does have 4.37 speed. I will say that, and he was productive. What do you think of the quarterback?
The cornerback?
No, the quarterback.
Quarterback. Rourke? Yeah. Like I said, tough guy. At the end of the day, initially, like I said, I was very shocked when they took a quarterback. But then when you look at it, 7th round, you weren't really taking offensive lineman that's going to really be giving you many. If you're looking for a tackle, because I think most fans wanted them to take a tackle, probably weren't getting a guy that's going to start in right away. Like we talked about at the beginning, they got in Humphries. So I feel like in their mind, that was better than getting a rookie that probably wasn't going to do much for you. So I didn't hate the pick after I thought about it a few days. But yeah, he has the potential to maybe QB3 down the line. Maybe next year Mac Jones isn't there. Maybe he could be QB2. You always need quarterback depth. He's actually not a bad quarterback. You know, he's set some records in Indiana. He threw 29 touchdowns on a torn ACL last year. I did think it was weird at first when they drafted him. But again, when you think about it, it's the 7th round. You're just taking value picks at that point. You're getting talent. You're getting depth. Most of those guys aren't going to start right away or at all. But, you know, you develop them, and down the line, maybe he'll do something for you. So, again, initially, I was very, very surprised. But going back, not as much.
You know, it's one of those things where they call him the Maple Missile.
Yeah.
The guy played on a torn ACL. He led the Hoosiers, Indiana Hoosiers, to the college football playoff. You know, so that alone means he's kind of interesting. Saskatchewan drafted him in the CFL draft, I guess. We'll see. I'm intrigued by it because, you know, for the people that I've talked to about him, say, man, this guy's really, really accurate. Now, the pick that I was enamored with when I watched the film was Connor Colby, the Iowa guard. He played right guard at Iowa, but he's only 22 and he made 50 starts. This guy started basically, he was an All-American as a freshman. He's a little short-armed, but he's a great run blocker and he's got a lot of experience. And if you watched him, you can see, man, he's well coached. Iowa coaches their linemen and their tight ends really at a high level, and they've got a lot of really, really good blockers on their offense, and this guy's one of them. And I'll say it right now. Ben Bartch has not played hardly at all. I don't think he's played 5 games in a row in like years. He only played a couple games before he went out with an injury last year. So this guy has found a way to play his entire career at Iowa and basically, you know, be durable the entire time. And he's a nasty run blocker. So I'll say this. I think there's a very good chance that Connor Colby is going to start for the Niners at guard opposite Dom Pooney. I really believe the Big Ten background, the level that he played at, the coaching that he got. When you watch this guy's film, I see a very nuanced veteran type player. So I think that might wind up being just an unbelievably great pick. I don't know if you've heard anybody else comment on Connor Colby, but to me, he seems like the kind of guy who played so much football that he's going to be able to step in and start.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much right. I mean, if you're from Iowa, you're trained in how to block so much. George Kittle, for example. So he's probably already got the George Kittle seal of approval. He, tweeted out like, "Oh yes." But to be honest, like I said, Ben Bartch, he worries me. If you're relying on Ben Bartch to be your starter at some point in the season, you're not going to be playing games if you're Ben Bartch. It sucks. I think he has talent, but that's always been his issue, is staying healthy. So I do think this guy can compete, right? Again, the big issue is, will Spencer Burford be slotted at guard or tackle? That's where his competition is really going to be. Can he beat out Spencer Burford at guard? I don't know. But I do think he has high upside. If you can get a starter, Larry, a quality starter at offensive line in the 7th round pick, that is a hell of a job. So if he could come in and start, Niner fans will be happy. So definitely a guy that I'm going to keep my eye on. I'm going to be very intrigued when in training camp battles start and then the competition, because he's going to be in the thick of it. Now, my other question, I want to know your opinion on this. Do you think he could play center, or is he better suited to be playing the guard? Since I think
he's a guard. I think he's a guard, and I think he's a right guard. And it's funny, I brought this up to Greg Papa. Papa's like, "Hey man, Dom Pooney played some left guard at Kansas, so maybe they would move Dom Pooney to left guard." But I think Connor Colby, it's not just it's not that he looked overpowering in his film. It's just that there were so many aspects of his film, Raj, that scream veteran. Like he's really, really smooth transitioning, and he's just like does whatever needs to be done to get it to work. You know, I mean, he's got some really subtle, great maneuvers. Another guy we got to finish with, and to me, this was one of the great stories of the undrafted class. The Niners signed Nebraska wide receiver Isaiah Nayer.
Oh my God.
Now, okay, this guy started at Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 really good years for Wyoming. He transferred to Texas. He got hurt. He never played at Texas. He transferred again to Nebraska, and the guy put up some really good numbers this year at Nebraska. Now, what's really intriguing is just the total profile of this receiver. He's 6'4", 220 pounds, 218 to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
He ran 4.4 flat. So almost a 4.3 guy at 6'4", almost 220.
That's pretty damn
Then I
good.
went and looked at his arm length, 35-inch arms. This is one of the longest arm guys of any receiver in years. Then I went and looked at the vertical. He's got a 40-inch vertical.
He slide.
This guy is incredible. Now, I'm going to share the screen on this tweet. This guy, Fran Duffy, put out a tweet that's pretty amazing.
Big fan.
And this is Nayer from the combine. And Fran Duffy says, wide receiver Isaiah Nayer put up some freaky numbers today. 4.4 flat in the 40 at 218 pounds.
Oh my
323 wide receivers drafted in the last 10 years. The number of receivers that were listed at 218 plus pounds or more who ran 4.4 flat is only 4 guys. Chase Claypool, DK Metcalf, Xavier Legette, and Robert Davis. I think played at Georgia State.
He runs smooth. I like his running. Look, he's smooth,
I mean, you're
baby.
talking about a gigantic, fast receiver with the longest arms and the greatest vert.
He got big, long. Look at him running like a gazelle. But are his hands good? That's what I want to know.
His hands are pretty good. They're not terrible. He doesn't fight the ball.
Good.
But what I'm saying is the target radius on this guy.
It's like when Brandon Ayuk came, I was like, go gadget, right? The huge arms, like just rocket. That was the big thing about Brandon Ayuk. He could catch a ball because that radius was so. And you're right.
Well, it's like Draymond Green. It's like people talk about Draymond Green. How does Draymond Green at 6'8" defend centers? Well, because Draymond Green's got the arm length of a 6'11" man.
Yeah.
So even though he's 6'8", he really plays like 6'10", 6'11", because his arm length is off the charts. Well, this guy is 6'4", 220 with 35-inch arms and a 40-inch vertical.
Jesus, that wide receiver competition is going to be insane. There's a lot of young wide receivers they have. It's going to be fun. That's going to be definitely.
That's intriguing. That's intriguing.
Now, this guy definitely has talent. I remember when we got the undrafted. My buddy,
The answer was
one of
no.
my best friends since like 20-something, he was one of my bosses way back in the day. We're still good friends. Huge football fan. We were texting back and forth. He texted me. He goes, "Dude, you just got a stud from." He's the biggest Nebraska fan I've known my whole life. Like, he grew up in Nebraska. He's the biggest Cornhusker you'll ever know. As soon as we get anybody like RT, he's a Cowboys fan, I'm a Niners fan. If one of us gets a Cornhusker, he'll let us know right away. So as soon as we got this guy, he's like, "Dude, you guys got this. You just got nailed. Undrafted wide receiver." I can't believe he was going crazy that he went undrafted. He goes, "Oh my God." He was going crazy. So this guy's got some talent.
I mean, he's big and fast. Big and fast. I mean, think about it this way. This guy is both the 49ers' biggest receiver and one of their fastest receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, that at the same time, it's pretty amazing. All right, let's hit some supers and we'll bolt out of here. MSQ, you might see this super chat late, but Giants coming back. Well, they lost 7-4.
They didn't come back. No.
They didn't come back. But MSQ, I love the faith.
Mhm.
He says Mikey Williams, Mike Bibby, Dr. Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, and Georgia quarterback Jaden Rashada are all heading to Sac State. Thoughts? Pac-12 and FBS moving soon. To go play basketball, you mean? Or
Yeah.
they're all going to Sac State to play football?
Shaq bought the Sac, or he's like the owner or GM of Sac State, dude. It's crazy.
Well,
Like
the
what?
new coach is Mike Bibby.
Yeah,
Right.
and then they
I-
got
my-
Shaq as like the GM or
Is the
president.
GM?
Some president or something,
Is he really?
something like that. Yeah.
Things are changing up in Sacramento. Bzz, bzz, Hornets.
Hornets.
MSQ says Beal is more like Drake Jackson, while McKell is more like Alden Smith. But Alden Smith had great productive numbers at Missouri, and McKell does not have those numbers. And would you rather have McKell and Booker at 11, or also Raj doesn't like Curtis? Thoughts? I'd rather have Booker. I think Booker is going to be an absolute road grader for the Cowboys, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of people don't feel Booker even fits the Niners scheme at all. And he says also Raj doesn't like Curtis, the quarterback, Rourke. No, but Raj, did you say you didn't like him on draft night?
We were live, and yeah. So a couple things about that. So yeah, and like I said, initially when they drafted the quarterback,
It made no sense, and you didn't like it. Your first instinct was saying no.
We're back. I was a little shook. I'm not gonna lie.
So what'd you say? Did you swear at him? Did you get mad?
I might have. If I did, I'm sorry. I was caught up in the moment. It was a really good live. I was like, what the hell are we doing? Yeah. He did bring up the fact that Tyler Booker, because he brought up, we talked about Tyler Booker on our stream last week.
Right.
I don't think he's the worth 11 pick, but he's a good player. He's a good player. But I think we needed a defensive lineman more than a left guard.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, when it's all said and done, I think Tyler Booker's gonna be a good player. Flav in the house says, love Jordan Watkins pick. Been watching a bunch of wide receivers that can't separate for shit for 5 years. Finally got someone with speed, also returns punts. This dude is different. Love the pick. I love Jordan Watkins as well. I had him rated in the 6th round, but just because the mock drafts had him as an undrafted guy, I thought he would have been an amazing 7th round pick. Just showed that he was a riser. I will say this though, if you can run in the 4.3s and you're productive in the SEC, you know what? You're probably pretty good. And he did those things. MSQ said, why doesn't Michael get injury pass, but Rourke does? Michael, what do you mean injury pass? Rourke is going to get an injury red shirt. Michael I don't think Rourke's going to play at all this year. I think they drafted him knowing he's a 2026 guy. So they're going to redshirt him. He's going to be IR all year. He played all last year on a torn ACL. Well, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. One guy played on a torn ACL all year. The other guy had an ankle sprain that he suffered in September and referenced last week as to why he didn't have a better workout against Jalen Walker. So I don't know, man. You tell me. I mean, how long do you get to use an ankle sprain as an excuse for your lack of production? He was productive as a freshman. He wasn't very productive the last couple of years. People talked about how they didn't want the Niners to go after Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart had 31 tackles. This guy had 21 tackles. Now, I'm not as concerned today as I was on draft night. Why? Because, one, I think this guy's got tremendous traits. Two, history has other guys who didn't produce in college but produce in the pros. Three, he only averaged 33 snaps a game. He played in a very deep Georgia rotation. So I think his numbers were deflated because of that rotation. I think they'll go up, especially when I watched his film and I looked at his breakdown of where he lined up. It's an advantage because the Niners like to line him up inside and stun him outside, line him up outside, stun him inside. So that's an advantage. And both Collins and Michael Williams lined up all over the formation. But that also hurt his sack numbers. When you get lined up inside, you're not going to get those sacks. So I think there were reasons that his sack production was lower. So I think the more I looked at those prospects, the more I think that Shamar was a little bit riskier in my mind. than Mikel. I think Mikel's a little safer. I think Shamar might be a little higher end if he reaches that high end, but I think Mikel's floor was significantly higher than Shamar's floor.
100%.
So that's kind of how I saw it. And what's as we've said many times, and if we haven't said it before, let's say it here. I think I know what I'm talking about, but at the end of the day, a lot of this is guesswork. Just being real. MSQ, R and L. What's it? R and
Larry and Raj. If I give you the golden ticket, you get to save Niner Facebook. LOL. I don't know what I mean, but I guess we're gonna save Niner Facebook.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
No, it's provocative. I don't know. Nobody knows what it means, Larry. But it
Raj and Larry. First of all, I'm getting second billing. I'd prefer it if it was Larry and Raj. Okay. Secondly, he says if I give you the golden ticket, you get to save football. Oh, it's what that's from? Draft day.
Oh, that's right.
Draft day. Remember that? He's you want Bo Callahan? Mm-hmm. I'll give you the golden ticket. There you go. Thank you, MSQ.
How did I forget that? I just watched it.
Good movie. Silence says Williams and West will push quarterbacks to Bosa, pure power. I can see it. Flav says don't love Rourke, only watched versus my Irish, but didn't handle the pressure great until the last 2 minutes. And Notre Dame really called off the dogs. Took forever to get the ball out of his hands. Good luck having time with RO line. Yeah, I that was the best defense that he played, and he didn't play particularly well in that game. But Notre Dame's secondary is really outstanding. But I saw that game as well, and that's maybe why I wasn't as high on him either, like Flav. All right, we'll get out of here, but I got to play this one more cut because I just think this made me laugh so hard. And I don't know if you saw this little video, Raj, but this thing cracks me up. Here we go. If you have, don't give it away, but here we go. Have you seen this?
Oh God, yeah, this is good. I like it.
Wait, hold on a second. I can turn the volume up. Classic. This is so classic.
Instagram, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Hello. Yeah. Oh, man, are you serious? Oh, I'm excited. I'm pumped. I can't wait, Coach. I can't wait. Yes. I've been dreaming this all my life. I'm ready, Coach. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Going to assisted living.
Oh my God. I saw that. I laughed so hard. Yeah, I laughed so hard when I saw that. I'm going to assisted living.
I showed it to one of my patients, and I thought she was gonna have a heart attack. Okay, that was too funny for you. It was. That's a good one.
How great was that? And the guy carried it out. He's like, "Yeah, Coach, I'm so happy for this opportunity. I can't wait. I can't wait. We're going to assisted living." Woo! Oh, the best. Raj, what do you got cooking this week, man? The draft is over, but man, the grind never stops. What do you got going? We're gonna have mini camp before long.
Yeah, same as always, grinding, just doing what I do, and I'm gonna take it a little. I'm hoping to take it a little easy. It's been a busy last couple of days, but every time I want to take it easy, boom, here comes the news. Here comes boom, 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 boom. Like today, Kittle. It's like, oh my God. So I'm just gonna stay on the grind as always. So.
Always on the grind. One more guy that I just absolutely loved in this draft, and this is where the 49ers are just an amazing team. I don't know how they do this, but they keep getting these undrafted players that are really pretty good. And this one, I'm sick if I can type his name in here. Let's see, Corey Kiner. Have you seen Corey Kiner?
Running back, yeah, I've seen his
my goodness, this guy really looks good. The contact balance. This guy's like my favorite UDFA is Corey Kiner, my dark horse. The guy has contact balance for days. Let me see if I can come up with a clip here that just shows it. The contact balance and the cutting is off the charts. This guy was Mr. Ohio. Here it is. I'm going to show you this. This guy's really, I know the Oregon running back looks good, but dude, this guy looks good too. The Niners have done this a lot where they've drafted a running back early. They've signed one late, and the guy who they signed late is pretty good. He went to LSU. He came home because only his mom and dad could watch him at LSU. So he wanted to play in front of his friends and family, and so he came back to Cincinnati to play in front of the home crowd, which is cool, something I admire. Yeah. Looking at him and wearing the 21, he reminds me a lot of Frank Gore. I mean, look at this guy. Look at that.
Look at that, man. Look at that.
Ooh. I mean, this guy's got contact balance.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, look at that.
Ooh, that shoulder little.
Look at this. He's still on his feet.
Oh, my God.
This guy's got contact balance. Look at this one. Watch out. One guy, two guys. Count how many guys hit this guy before he goes down, by the way. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He doesn't want to go down. He's got some lateral ability. Look at this. Look at this. Pinball knocked around inside. And he's got the perfect build. He's 5'8", 215. 210, 215. And he's not a burner per se with like 4.3 speed, but he's a grinder. This guy's tough. So
not a burner, but a grinder.
I personally, look at the contact balance.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, this contact balance is what it's all about.
Oh my God.
To me, Corey Kiner and Jerome James, or no, Jordan James. Look at that. I mean, this guy doesn't want to go down.
You think he's gonna? So you think he's gonna excel more than Jordan James?
Well, I'll just say this: Jordan James has the same 40 as this guy. They're almost the exact same size.
Yeah,
and they're both kind of the same kind of back. They're both powerful backs that kind of run through you. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying, they took Sermon, but the other back was better. They took Joe Williams, but other backs were better. It's like, they've taken backs high. They took Ty Davis Price, but Jordan Mason was better. And I'm just saying, don't be shocked if Corey Kiner winds up being as good or better. That's all I'm saying.
And you're right. Like with their history of undrafted free agent running backs, could be right.
Could be right. You never know. You never know. That's going to do it for us. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor. Thanks to LearnKey Upskill Learning Academy for sponsoring this video. Hit like and subscribe on your way out. If you could support our sponsors, we would appreciate that greatly. The links for all of our sponsors are in the description below. For Raj, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Can't